What's going on, guys? I'm IcyRhythms. Welcome back. And in this video, we're going to do something a little bit different than we would normally do. And I think you guys, some of you guys anyway, will really enjoy this. But before we do that, I need to make it a point to start doing this at the start of every video. At the very beginning of every video, I need to start doing this because it recently came to my attention through another YouTuber, much larger than myself, Tech Syndicate, that if you're not doing tons and tons of networking and even doing that in the most effective ways possible, there's just issues happening on YouTube right now. And sometimes if people don't hit that notification bell down below, they won't see every one of your videos, right? So at that point, you're at the mercy of YouTube and the algorithm, search results, all of that stuff coming together. And really, it's luck. YouTube's always been kind of a luck game, but now it's probably even more than ever. If people aren't hitting that notification bell, maybe you guys aren't seeing my videos. So you need to do that. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, all of that information down below. But more than ever, hit that notification bell. I really do appreciate it. What we are doing in this video is if you are building a PC for the first time and you're coming from console, this is like your first build, or maybe you're upgrading, right? Maybe you're just upgrading from existing parts, and these are some games that maybe you have interest in and you still haven't bought, or you forgot about them, or you played them on console. They're classics to you and you just want to see what they look and run like on PC. For me, these are 4 or 5 games that are must play. Again, if you're building a new PC or you're just upgrading from existing parts and you have yet to see these games, I feel that these are must plays. Starting with Grand Theft Auto 5, because it is still one of my favorite games, and I still feel like it's one of the best looking and one of the most impressive games that's ever been released. Not for, just in the last, 5 to 10 years. I just think ever, period. This is one of the most impressive games. But I will say this about GTA 5. I am running a 1700X Ryzen, okay? And even back on the Intel build with the 4690K, I had a very similar setup. 980 Ti, 16 gigs of RAM, all SSDs. It's the exact same thing here, just different CPU. Obviously, that's what we're running here. So I remember before, even on just those 4 cores, I would constantly get between 90 and like 120, 130 FPS, even when the action really ramped up. And that was the case even on the Ryzen, say maybe just 3-4 months ago, maybe a little bit more than that, give or take. I didn't really have any issues running this game. And while it still runs really well and still looks amazing, this game doesn't run as well as it used to. I don't know what they've done here. Something has changed. I feel like the CPU utilization has went down a little bit, it feels like, as well. And it like I said, it still does run and look amazing, but something happened with GTA 5. That's not necessarily a warning. I'm just letting you know that you probably should have, something, if you're going to run this, the hardware to run it, and you're not looking to knock everything down to low or medium, you should probably have hardware, whether it's your CPU, GPU, and whatnot, hardware that's come out in the last 2 or 3 years, I would say, in order to run this most effectively, because until I figure out what that issue is, or Rockstar corrects it if they feel like it even needs to be corrected. I don't know. Some people are saying that this game, it used to run a lot better, and it's all of the online updates that they've done, and it's even affecting the single player, which is all I play. I don't even bother with the multiplayer. So if the single player is all I play and these updates with the online are causing issues in the single player, I feel like that's a problem. Because if you only play the single player, if that is your only desire when it comes to this game, which I'm in that camp, I'm one of those people, then I shouldn't be seeing any real difference. If anything, the game should be getting more optimized as time goes on, right? Because they do continue to update Grand Theft Auto 5, and I don't know if they've ever announced like an official, time, date, or just window when they may stop updating the game. But this game used to run a lot better, but I still feel like, just all things considered, it being as impressive as it is, this is one of those games that you must play if you're building a new PC. Wolfenstein II is one of my favorite games that released in the current generation. It's really not even that old. It's about like a year and maybe a month or two old, something like that. It's one of the best looking, one of the most impressive games, not even just from a tech standpoint, running on id Tech. Doom Eternal is actually going to run on id Tech 7, and they've improved the technology even further. And it's just, I think to me, this is one of the most, if not the most, impressive engine, right next to the Snowdrop engine with the Division that we've seen this generation. id Tech's been around for a while, but they've made huge leaps with their technology. The PC version, I can't speak to Xbox and PlayStation, but the PC version of Wolfenstein 2 is actually all Vulkan, right? It's all Vulkan API. There isn't even an option to choose DirectX, okay? So if you have the recommended or the minimum specifications required, you should get the desired performance that you're looking for. Most of the time, I stayed at 90 FPS. I mean, there are moments, a few, it's very rare, a few moments where I did drop to high 50s, mid 60s, something like that. But most of the time, even when the action ramps up, I stayed at 80 to 90 and just little to no issue running this game. I think a lot of that too is probably my 980 Ti beginning to show its age, or maybe it has been for some time now. 980 Ti, 3 years old. I mean, that's ancient in the PC space for a lot of gamers. That's not even something that would compute. You're running a 980 Ti in 2018? Man, I couldn't do it. You know, some PC gamers feel that way, but I am, and for the most part, it still murders most games, but there are some that are starting to show my 980 Ti who is boss, and that's the software side of things. So yeah, Wolfenstein 2, a must-play shooter, one of my favorite games of the generation. Some really impressive tech here with the specs, or the particle effects, excuse me. I don't know why I said specs, but Wolfenstein 2 is just a must-play game if you're also looking to build a new PC or upgrade your existing parts. So Serious Sam 3 is one of my favorite games of all time, just because it's so much fun. Now, this isn't going to impress, at least not anymore, just by looking at it. Like, I think it still looks pretty good, but there are better looking shooters, there are better playing shooters, and while there are better playing shooters and better looking shooters, more impressive shooters in general, this is still one of the most fun shooters that I think you can play. Just my 2 cents. If you've never played a Serious Sam game, then maybe you wouldn't know, but this game is awesome. I mean, you can play, at least I think you can still play, you can play this game with up to 16 friends all the way through the story, and you guys can watch the cutscenes together. It's pretty awesome. I mean, how you want to do that is up to you. I mean, you can play it by yourself, but hell, why not bring a friend or two with you? You know, I mean, there's a lot of laughs here. It's really cringe at times, but it's like the good kind of cringe. Like, it's so bad, it's good almost kind of thing. And I would say this too. Let me say this because I need to get this out of the way. If you're going to play Serious Sam 3 or a few of the other Serious Sam games, they have it now where if you've purchased some of these Serious Sam games, you should have already in your Steam library the Fusion 2017 engine version of these games. Why they haven't updated it to the 2018, or we're about to go into 2019, right? I don't know why they haven't done that, but the Fusion 2017 engine version of these games is the way you want to do it. And on top of that, I should probably mention this, In the Fusion 2017 version of Serious Sam 3, you can use a DualShock 4. So if controller is for you, I think it even has the prompts and everything. It has its own menu. It shows the controller there. There is Vulkan support that runs really well, DirectX. So you can't go wrong. They've definitely made a lot of tweaks to this game through the new engine, the more improved engine for Serious Sam 3, and that's the way I would recommend trying to play it. It's not perfect yet. I mean, if you just want like something that's complete, then just play regular Serious Sam 3, but I think this is the best way to go just because of the performance. I mean, this is a game that you have to see to believe. All the enemies on screen, all of the gore and everything, all of that stuff happening with once. And if you've got friends with you, it can get pretty chaotic. I'm telling you, like this game, it's a lot of fun, and I recommend it. Serious Sam 3, man.
In the mood to buy today. Parakeets to serve.
Killing Floor 2 is also one of my favorite games ever. I think I have close to 500 or maybe a little over 500 hours total in this game. A lot of that came in the first year and a half. So even when the game was still in early access, which I have decided not to support anymore, I was still playing this game a lot. I was going really, really hard on this game. I do have a review for Killing Floor 2 on my channel. So if you want to do me a favor and you want to go and check that out, obviously helps me a lot. And it might help you make a better purchase decision. Like, Icy said this was fun, but I'm watching this review, I'm seeing this gameplay. I don't know if this is for me, And on Steam, there's always refunds. So if you're ever feeling like, you're taking a chance, play for 2 or 3 hours and call it good if you're not feeling the game. They do have that option. Just don't abuse it, right? Steam doesn't want you abusing the refund policy. So, yeah, Killing Floor 2, you can play this game by yourself, but I would say unlike Serious Sam, it can't be fully enjoyed by yourself. I think you really need friends to enjoy the Killing Floor 2 experience. I mean, it's centered around playing with other people, and that's really the best way to play. They've added a lot of new stuff since the last time I played versus now. There's a lot more stuff. I bought some like headshot pack that has all these different effects. There's like hearts and sometimes like dollar bills or coins or something come out, and there's a couple of others that are involved in that pack, and I think it was like $7.50. I like the effects, so it's kind of cool, and I feel bad. I feel like such a sucker buying that shit, but I also bought recently the Miss Foster costume. It's actually fully voiced, and I've been wanting that for a while, so I'm like, you know what? I guess I'll give in, and that was $10. Miss Foster, she was $10 by herself, but she is fully voiced. I think it's their first ever like fully voiced character that has a lot of different lines. It's not just 1 or 2 different lines. Like she talks pretty often in my experience. So that being said though, man, yeah, Killing Floor 2, it runs great. It still looks really good. It's some modified version of Unreal Engine 3 or 3.5, and you can look at it and say, yeah, this looks pretty good, but you can also tell that it's running an older version of Unreal. Like if you look at some of the Unreal 4 games, which we'll probably talk about in a later video, obviously the improvements show, right? And I'm sure at some point we'll get an Unreal 5 and we'll be able to see the improvements there. But Killing Floor 2 still runs and looks great. It's one of the best playing shooters. I mean, this game has arguably the best reload animations in video games, especially if you're doing just all pistols. Like some of those reload animations are incredible. I believe I talked about it in my review. They had some gun specialists come in, maybe even a few of those guys, and just got them all reloading different weapons and stuff. So it's pretty incredible, man. Just for a game like this, where it's just like waves and waves of enemies coming at you, where they really didn't have to go that extra mile to impress people, they did, right? And so Tripwire, thank you. Killing Floor 2 continues to be a great game. They update this really, really often. A lot of times Halloween or Christmas, they'll have different events where the enemies look a lot different, or, you know, you get new maps and things like that pretty often. When I first started playing, I want to say there was 4 maps. Maybe it was 3. Something like that. There wasn't a lot of maps. There was not a lot of content, but it was a lot of fun. I can say that. It was a lot of fun back in 2015, and I still don't regret my purchase. Dead Space 2, last but not least, Dead Space 2 is one of those games that would probably make my top 20, top 30 if I really sat and thought about it. I think it's that good. Not even kidding. I'm not exaggerating here. I've probably beat this game somewhere between 20 and 25 times. That's how much I like the game. I know it really well. I'd like to say I know it like the back of my hand, but there's a couple of sections where I forget 1 or 2 things here and there. But for the most part, I know this game very, very well. I know when certain enemies are going to jump out at me. I know where some enemies are pretending to be dead and you walk by them, or they grab you or jump up or something. Most of the time, I'm pretty good about remembering those things. But the game it's excellent. And even if for whatever reason you haven't made the jump to PS4 and Xbox One and you're still on older hardware, PS3, Xbox 360, and you just, you know, it's that bad for you, you can't afford a PS4 or an Xbox One yet, this is still a must-play game, even at 30 FPS, but playing this game on PC with as clean as it can look, especially if you're on like a 4K monitor or playing on a 4K TV, I'm sure that looks incredible as well. Playing this game at 60 frames a second, 100 frames, even 200 frames, I think it can get that high if you have the hardware to run it, which I do in this case because it's really well optimized, and the game, Dead Space 2 came out a long time ago. We know that. I think it's about to be 8 years old next month, January or something. So maybe that's something that we could talk about in a later video, maybe a review or a look back 8 years later or something. But Dead Space 2, well optimized. You know, a lot of that too is because if you just look at the package, like the engine as a whole, it's really well done. But like you start looking at some of the textures, and I like the art style chosen, but if you look at some of the textures and things like that in the environments or on some of the characters, it's really not that impressive anymore. I guess it never really was, but the thing that impresses me most is how well it ran on those PCs even at that time. I mean, I think I was running, let's see, like a 570 and a 2600K, obliterated Dead Space 2. Absolutely obliterated it. No trouble running that game whatsoever. So if you've got something that's come out in the last couple of years, there should be no problem for you running Dead Space 2 whatsoever. If you've got problems running Dead Space 2, that might be one of those occasions where I'll say that's user error. That's something on your end, some garbage software that you've got on your PC that you don't actually need running in the background. I don't know, but this game runs really well. Like I said, it's one of my favorite games of all time. Some people, you know, I've said this before, some people will argue that Dead Space 1 is like more traditional survival horror, and I guess I would agree with that to some extent, but I really feel like Dead Space 2 is the overall better game and definitely looks better on PC or console. And I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments section, I don't think there was ever like a Dead Space collection that they released for PS4 or Xbox One to get these games running at 60 frames a second or higher, which is really unfortunate because I feel like the PS4, definitely the Pro and the X, the Xbox One X, should be able to run these at possibly even 4K 60. Possibly. I'm not really sure, but it's that well optimized, man. Thank you guys for watching. Again, don't forget to hit that notification bell. It helps me out a lot. I'm starting to see now that it helps me out a lot more than I was willing to acknowledge before. It wasn't really something I would talk about much in my videos. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch, all of that information, including that bell. Don't forget about that bell. All of that is down below. Thank you guys for watching. There will be more of these. Just let me know about some games that maybe I have them, maybe I don't, maybe I plan to get them. Let me know some other games you would like me to talk about in the future as far as like, hey, what runs really well on PC? If I'm building a new one, you know, what should I check out? Because I've already got some in mind. I probably have like 40 games in my head already that I want to talk about, and I'm not going to run through them all in one video. So we'll save those for different parts of, maybe this could be like a new series or something. I don't know. Thank you guys for watching, man. You guys take care. All of the continued support, I do appreciate it. Peace.